hackathons. I heard that you love to run hackathons all over Europe, and he loves to meet developers. And your topic today is like how hardware is driving the commerce revolution. All right? 1 big round of applause, and we have elephant ears to hear what you have to say.
That's a tough act to follow. I want to iterate, I do have a job. My lack of hair is not, I'm not looking for a job, don't send me any offers, not necessary. Hi, my name is Cristiano, and I'm a developer angelist for PayPal. Oh, let's not do that. Like I said, I go to a lot of events, I go to a lot of hack days. I've been to Romania once. It's my favorite city in Europe. I might say that in every city. And today I'm just going to talk to you, kind of continuing from where Terence kind of ended. Terence ended very much into kind of mobile and kind of hardware and payments. And you know, PayPal takes. Who here has a PayPal account? Cool. So there's still a market to be reached. You know, we handle a lot of payments, and because we're part of eBay, you know, we get to do a lot with commerce. We deal a lot with commerce, online commerce, of course, traditionally, but these days we're dealing a lot with offline commerce, kind of retail commerce too. And I'm going to take you on a journey where I'm kind of going to try and predict based on cool things like, you know, wearables and new technology that's coming out. You know, what's going to be the future for, let me make sure I don't overrun, what's going to be the future for commerce online. And of course, because I'm going to try and make predictions, I'm probably going to be absolutely wrong in the long run. So if you think you have a better informed opinion, please, you know, post them to me after the talk, or come and find me in the hallways. I'm always happy to hear what you think is going to be the future. So I'm going to go through a couple of things. I'm going to start off with kind of traditional kind of online shops. I'm going to talk a bit about mobile shops, and then I'm going to talk a bit about kind of retail, hardware, all these things. But we kind of have to kind of paint a picture first before we can kind of go into what, you know, what things like glass and, you know, Google, the Google wearables are going to do for us. End of the 90s, you know, we kind of came from buying things offline, where books were like, you know, who still remembers like these big catalogs that were about this thick, and you kind of like had to spit through them, and you just sit down on the couch and look at them and kind of go through them completely, trying to find what you wanted to buy, and then you went and either called them up, or you had to send them a letter, and then 3 weeks later your product arrived. Now this, you know, this is a website. This website won't work anymore these days. It just won't make much money. But this is basically bringing that experience online, right? Like bringing the entire catalog online. And at the end of the 90s, beginning 2000s, that was enough. Like you could just bring this online and make it work, and you wouldn't make money, because instead of having to go through the entire book, you could just go online, click, buy, and sure, 2 weeks later it would arrive. But that doesn't work these days anymore. These days there's this thing called the magpie effect, which is, people used to go into those catalogs, they used to go about 60 pages deep on average. And for the early websites, that was exactly the same thing. People used to go 60 pages deep. Now for people who are over 60, it's 6 pages. And those are your grandparents, right? Those are not your, you know, or maybe your parents, depending on how old you are. You know, it's not the youth these days that doesn't go that far anymore. The youth spends an average of about 15 seconds on a website to decide whether or not they're going to stay or not. If you have a website like that, it's not going to work anymore. So data is the big driver for this. If you want to compete these days, you need to have kind of a good database of what your users actually want. I mean, we've all heard it, personalized experiences. But in the end, it's not even that much about personalized experiences, it's more about optimized experiences. If you know who I am, you can give me a better experience to give me actually the products that I want, without even being creepy. But you can, you know, you don't need to show me this page and have me do the searching on my own. But it's not just changing the experience for traditional buying, it's changing it even beyond that in the way the consumers are even expecting to get things delivered. So this is eBay now. eBay's rolled this out in the US, and we bought a company in London that's going to do this for us in Europe. And basically what it does is you know, it uses data in a very creative way that, say, you know, I'm based out of London, I live in London. I came here, if I got my toothbrush, for example, I go on the eBay Now site, I say I need a toothbrush. They will send a guy to the local store to buy me a toothbrush and bring it to me for 5 kroners or 5 euros or whatever. Now, when I say to here, I don't mean to my hotel, I don't mean to where I live, I mean to where my phone is. So it's changing the way people are expecting things, because you know, we're used to, like, with those thick books, things would arrive 2 weeks, sure, fine. Then it was like, you know, 3 days with Amazon, then it was like next day delivery with Amazon, and these days it's all about, you know, this will turn it into like maybe an hour, 2-hour delivery. And Amazon is experimenting with this too, right? So it's expecting the behavior that people, you know, it's raising the expectations of your consumers. But it's also raising the kind of the risk models that producers are taking. So before, you know, before the internet, you had to go, if you wanted to produce some hardware, you had to go and, you know, do a lot of research, then take out a loan from a bank, produce your product, and then hope that it is sold. And if it didn't sell, you were in trouble, right? You had a big debt with the bank. You had to be creative. These days, with sites like Indiegogo and Kickstarter, you can create these products virtually, show them to your potential customers, see if there's interest, and then actually get it out there. Actually get them to pay upfront to you so you can go and produce this product. And that's changing the risk models, but it's also changing the production models. Who here has a 3D printer? Yeah, I knew Terrence had a 3D printer. Another one over there. 2 people. Yeah, we keep getting these predictions like within 5 years we're all going to have one. I'm not sure. They still look a bit too bulky, and I already have a laser printer that takes up a similar amount of space. But you know, it's going to be very important to a lot of different industries, not just to like little gadgets, but to a lot of different industries. For example, we're going to play a little game here. Who knows what this is? 3D printed pasta. Now you might think, why the hell would I want 3D printed pasta? But you know, this is going to be interesting for, you know, restaurants. I have an anniversary coming up. I go to a restaurant with my girlfriend. I tell the restaurant to kind of make it like the little pasta that spells out her name or spells out some other message I want to put in there. Right? It sounds silly, but it's totally possible. And of course, it doesn't stop there. I can go to, like, you know, dessert. I like a dessert. You know, and I can send them a picture of her face and have some chocolate 3D printed. Maybe not with her face, that might be slightly creepy. But, you know, there's a lot of creative usage for this kind of technology that goes beyond just, you know, 3D printing a screw or 3D printing a part for your bike or 3D printing yet another iPhone case. Now I was saying until recently that these are 3D printed cupcakes until somebody pointed out the mealworms in the top left corner. So that's not quite right. These are 3D printed kind of, so when you want to grow mealworms, they kind of need to get food, and these are kind of the right shapes for that. These are 3D printed, but you can go from there and print like a whole lot of other things. So you see, it's not just for gadgets. 3D printing is there for a lot of different production models. So you can see that it's like, I can either buy something that has already been produced, I can do Indiegogo, Kickstarter to get something that hasn't been produced yet, or I can just go the own route and print something on demand like that. So that's kind of the online shopping and how that's changing.